Breaking: Liberal politician just found decapitated after calling for equality and open borders. And once again someone loses their life because of sheer naiveness as to how the world really works. It has now been confirmed that the two Caucasian bodies which were found in shallow graves in the Democratic Republic of Congo west of Kasai Central Province belong to two missing United Nations experts advocates for open borders and globalism. 34-year-old American Michael Sharp and 36-year-old Swede Zeta Catalin were investigating human rights violations in the DRC for the UN and had been missing since 12 March. The body of their Congolese interpreter, Batu Chintela, was also discovered in the same location, although their other three Congolese colleagues, driver Isaac Abuaye, and two unidentified motorbike drivers are still missing and are doubtful they will ever be found. Zeta Catalin was a Swedish politician who was a member of the Swedish Green Party. She also led the Young Greens of Sweden between 2001 and 2005, and she was known for her work in the animal rights field, equality and the sex purchase law. But what is perhaps the worst part is that the Greens are the most pro-immigration party in Sweden. They support an extreme position on open borders for Sweden and the world, but the Green Party lunacy DOES and stop there, since they actually endorsed a liberalization of asylum laws where immigrants would automatically have the right to permanent residence if an asylum seeker has and been deported within 2 years. It's sad to see so many of these people who don't seem to have the smarts to figure out that the world is and a kind place live amongst us and lose their lives. This poor soul lost her life in who knows what awful way because she was promoting a political view that, although sounds beautiful, is not something that works when tried. Via OSAC Democratic Republic of Congo 2015 Crime and Safety Report. Overall crime and safety situation. Criminal activity is exacerbated by poor economic conditions, high unemployment, lack of education training, and the government inability to financially support its own facilities and civil servants, including police and military. Crime rating. Critical crime threats. Most reported criminal incidents against Americans in Kinshasa are crimes of opportunity: pickpocketing, petty theft. The majority of petty crimes are committed by homeless street kids called shegges. They are known to operate alone and in gangs. U.S. citizens have been victims of more serious crime, including armed robbery and assaults. Many Americans and members of the international community have reported assailants posing as police or security agents and often speculate that the majority of armed crime is perpetrated by members of police security. International victims in Kinshasa report being targeted while walking: A. alone, B. during the night time, and C. in the proximity of prominent hotels, restaurants, supermarkets, and nightclubs. The chances of becoming a victim increase dramatically after midnight and during holiday season. The U.S. government provides 24-hour residential security guards for all of its official residences because guarded properties are less vulnerable to theft and burglary. Areas of concern. The overall security situation in many parts of the DRC can best be described as volatile and unpredictable, especially in the east. The capability of the government to respond to emergency crisis situations is limited. Volatile security conditions prevail despite substantial support from the United Nations Organization's stabilization mission in the Congo MONUSCO. The government continues to target small armed groups throughout the DRC, but mainly in the provinces of Orientali, North Kivu, and South Kivu. Transportation safety situation. Road safety and road conditions. Roads are in serious disrepair. Nighttime driving is dangerous because street lighting is poor, and it is difficult to see road surface conditions. Congolese drivers are prone to reckless driving, tend not to have basic driver training or auto insurance, and do not heed to right-of-way, obey traffic signs, or yield to pedestrians. Using seatbelts and driving defensively provide Americans with greater safety on the roads. Motor vehicle accidents are one of the most serious health risks to anyone in Africa and one of the leading causes of death for U.S. government employees worldwide. U.S. Embassy advises international travelers to Kinshasa to depart an accident location as quickly as possible because crowds tend to gather and have become violent without warning. Roadblocks occur, especially near government buildings. Approach roadblocks slowly and with great caution. Americans should not allow anyone who claims to be a security official into their vehicle. Additionally, Americans should be wary of entering vehicles belonging to anyone who states that he is a Congolese law enforcement or military official. It is recommended that in such instances U.S. citizens should remain calm and If threatened, do not resist unless you reasonably believe life or limb are at stake. Keep automobile doors locked and windows rolled up. Do not roll down your window if someone approaches your vehicle. Ignore persons outside your vehicle and drive away if you feel uncomfortable. While stopped in traffic, scan rear view and side mirrors to remain aware of surroundings. Public transportation conditions. There is no reliable public transportation system. Travelers should avoid all travel by public transportation. Overcrowded vans and informal taxis, which do not meet international safety standards, serve as public transportation. Aviation airport conditions. Air safety is a major concern. All air carriers that are under the oversight of the DRC have been banned in the European community. The U.S. Embassy spends significant resources to determine and vet companies that comply with international safety standards prior to permitting the use of air transportation. Other travel conditions. Travel on rivers and lakes is a major method of transportation. Boats are usually poorly maintained, do not have adequate safety precautions, and are overloaded with people and goods. Accidents are common. The U.S. Embassy spends significant resources to determine and vet companies that comply with international safety standards prior to permitting the use of water transportation. Political, economic, religious, and ethnic violence. Political violence rating, high. Local, regional, and international terrorism threats concerns. The embassy does not discount the possibility of a terrorist attack. Americans are targets of opportunity for terrorists throughout the world. The government has been proactive and cooperative with the international community in initiatives to mitigate terrorism and related activities. Since 9/11, DRC has voiced its support of the global coalition against terrorism. There is no evidence of operations against American interests in DRC by any listed State Department terrorist organization. Terrorism rating, low. Civil unrest. The threat of civil unrest is more probable than an act of international terrorism and is among the embassy's most prominent security concerns. The breakdown of civil order could occur at any moment as evidenced by, inter alia, a series of violent anti-government demonstrations in Kinshasa in January 2015, the arrest of pro-democracy activists in Kinshasa and Goma by the government from March 2015 to present, and the continued harassment and occasional arrests of leading members of political opposition parties. Many cities experience periodic demonstrations by political opposition parties, students, workers' unions, and civil servants. Some of these demonstrations have spiraled out of control and turned violent. In recent years, the government has increased its capacity to employ non-lethal measures to control these demonstrations. However, human rights organizations continue to scrutinize DRC security organizations and often accuse them of heavy-handed tactics that cause unwarranted casualties. The greatest potential for political and ethnic violence exists in eastern Congo, where transnational self-interests between DRC, Rwanda, and Uganda fuel a multi-ethnic struggle to control national tribal sovereignty, the loyalty of the local inhabitants, land rights, smuggling and legitimate trade routes, etc. Attempts to disarm and demobilize militias and other armed groups there have had limited success. Many armed groups continue to act with impunity and in their own self-interests, violating human rights and in some cases forging alliances against legitimate DRC security forces and international peacekeeping organizations. Small-scale armed disputes, criminality, and lawless behavior prevail throughout the region. In Katanga, in southeastern Congo and the heart of Congo economy, armed activity from groups advocating for Katanga secession or autonomy have sprung up with little warning, especially in the north and central areas of the province, particularly in the areas around and between Manono, Mitwaba, Kasenga, and Pweto. These groups or their supporters have staged attacks in Lubumbashi. Religious ethnic violence. Ethnic tensions between native Katangese and civilians of Kasayan origin remain a potential cause for unrest, particularly in the northern areas around Kamina and in the Lubumbashi area. Environmental hazards. Mt Nyiragongo, an active volcano 18 kilometers north of Goma, threatens the safety and livelihoods of approximately 800,000 people. During Mt Nyiragongo's most recent eruption in 2002, lava flow destroyed part of Goma city center, prompting the evacuation of 300,000 people. Around 100 people died from direct or indirect consequence, and the eruption destroyed almost 80% of the commercial infrastructure. Since then, minor eruptions have taken place every few years, and the ability of the scientific community to monitor eruption warning signs is diminished since armed groups have vandalized and, in some cases, stolen seismic and other scientific monitoring equipment. The risk posed by Lake Kivu is also a concern. Lake Kivu is believed to possess an estimated 14 trillion gallons of methane gas and 60 trillion gallons of carbon dioxide, chemical byproducts of the region, ongoing volcanic activity, drug-related crimes, drug use, primarily cannabis, is common. However, evidence of a drug trade is not readily apparent to travelers in Kinshasa. Local law enforcement capabilities in the area of narcotics detection and interdiction are severely limited. Occasionally, passengers are arrested attempting to smuggle in drugs, though Njili International Airport. Kidnapping threat. Kidnappings are more of a concern in eastern DRC, where the unstable security situation has led to an increase in crime, including kidnapping. Though most kidnappings involve DRC citizens, foreigners have also fallen victim. Police response is slow unless they are in the general area where the incident occurred. In many remote areas, police emergency, medical support, and disaster relief services are non-existent. The police are poorly trained and ill-equipped, have almost no resources, and are largely ineffectual and corrupt. Consistency in administering laws and regulations is notably absent. In cases involving theft or robbery, police intervention and legal recourse is poor. Police investigators have demanded vehicle and gas money from the U.S. Embassy in order to conduct a criminal investigation. The Congolese are sensitive about foreigners taking pictures, especially around government or military installations. It is important not to take pictures of any government or military installations, including the airport, the Congo River, or government buildings. It is also not advisable to take pictures of Congolese citizens unless you receive their permission. Embassy employees have been questioned and temporarily detained for taking pictures in public. How to handle incidents of police detention or harassment. For general complaints against the police for harassment or detention, a report can be made at IPCAN, Criminal Police, on Liberation Avenue, Gombe neighborhood, through tel. 0815000900. If you are arrested by the police, you should contact the counselor section at the U.S. Embassy. Situational awareness best practices. Do not to walk around at night, especially if you are alone. Avoid displaying cash and other personal property of value. Be aware of hostile or criminal surveillance. Always maintain a high level of vigilance. Avoid large crowds and the demonstrations that occur frequently. Care should be taken to avoid being involved in any form of narcotics activity. Please share in hopes people wise up before more innocent souls are lost to the childish lunacy that is open borders.